Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Sports Hub podcast. This weekend was the Edinburgh Derby in Scotland. As you can see, Gavin is nodding his head at the sight of the Edinburgh Derby, and he is wearing his Hearts top. And the other side of the city was Martin, not wearing his Hibs top this evening, but he was supporting Hibs. And I was pretty neutral at the game. Gavin can testify because I watched the game with him. And despite it being nothing each, I thought it was quite an entertaining game, but I'll pass over to Gavin to do a more in-depth analysis.
Well, thank you very much, James.
For the Hearts view.
Excuse me, when it comes to these sort of things, I try to be as neutral as possible.
Bullshit.
Emphasis was try. But no, James, I agree with you. It was a very good, entertaining now, if there's such thing as an entertaining now. It was nice to actually be watching some football with you again for the first time in a long time.
Yep.
And I think it was a good game to catch. Both teams set out strong lineups to start off the game. I would say from a Hearts point of view, it was probably Hearts' strongest lineup available, and it was good to see some good players performing really well. Do I think we probably could have, if anyone deserved a win, it would have been us. Hibs will probably be the happier with the draw out of the two teams. But you know, when you saw the start of the game and you had Robbie Nielsen and Jack Ross wearing the exact same outfit, you kind of figured it was going to be one of those games where both teams will be trying just to cancel each other out rather than go for the jugular. But I think it was one of those years. There's not a lot to say about it, apart from two outstanding goalkeeping performances. A lot of chances would have, could have done better. That's a lot. I mean, the thing about Hearts and Hibs is make a lot of chances but don't finish many. Martin, what was your thoughts on the game?
Well, I think first 7, 8, 9 minutes, I think Hibs sort of took the ball past a bit better. I think Hibs came into the game, probably controlled a lot more of the game. I think Hibs looked a lot better in the counter-attack. Although Hearts controlled a lot more of the possession, the way the game sort of flowed, chances were still getting created either side. I felt the defensive line with Hibs, I thought handling was a bit shaky. Porteous was pretty solid. We couple of things early on with him, but mostly solid. I think the centre midfield that Hertz sort of started taking control of the game. First half, that was substitute Gogic came on to sort of try and interact that, but some of the chances, I mean, Nisbet's chance, that was never a handball. It's miles outside the box anyway. Nisbet's chance with the ball fell over his shoulder, he's caught in the volley, and it just went past the post. That was gone on goal of the season. But I personally think games like that and seasons going past, Hibs would have lost because Hibs have never had goalkeepers that are making them points over the course of the season. Over the Marciano's maybe an exception, but before that,
Zibin
Milkowski. There's been a few of them that I reckon we would have lost that game today. But looking at the saves, I think that the best one for Macy was Michael Smith's. Had the chance, sort of open chance, 1-on-1, and I don't think it was an overly great save. I thought Gordon's save against who was it? Was it McGuinness? The one that Nisbet cut back on him. I thought that was a better save. But it's all the saves that sort of made the story of the day. Really, I felt.
I think Gordon had a good 2 or 3 saves, kind of better saves than what Macy's kind of top saves were in today's game, which I think, like for the one you said about Mackay-Steven's 1-on-1, as a keeper, you kind of expected to go across your goal.
Aye.
So it wasn't easier for him to judge that.
The way Macy the way Macy set out there as well, you could see when he had the ball, he had left a space that side.
Mhm.
There was a much bigger space on that side than there was the other side. So I don't know whether he's intentionally done that or.
I mean, when me and James were watching the game after the save, James was like, he was already down before the shot was even struck. He was like, oh, you kind of anticipate something like that happening. There was the one in the first half of Kingsley from the corner where it was stopped on the post. I feel like if he got a bit more power, hit him more flushly, it could have been a bit of a more dangerous opportunity. But I definitely feel like the strikers were quite quiet. If you say Nisbet had a couple of opportunities, Doyle only really got through with his pace a couple of times, not very often, but mainly on the counter, picking up on loose passes or the defence. Cadden had a couple of brilliant opportunities. I do have to say he was really impressive.
His first game in a while as well.
I think from a Hearts point of view, Boyce didn't really do much. He was really quiet. There was one where he got through, and I think it should have personally been a red card for the Hibs player. I think it was Hanlon who pulled him down. I don't think there was a foul there, and it was given as a foul against him. Even when James saw it initially, he said he thought it was a red card. So,
but then he watched the replay and actually saw it really happened.
But nothing really happened. It was just more of a case of he was falling down.
I'm going to do a Bob, and I delegated to authority.
James, being a neutral within the game, obviously, watching the Glasgow derbies, which can sometimes be a bit of a letdown, people being a bit too cautious and but not wanting to lose as opposed to fight to win. What were your feelings on the Edinburgh Derby?
Martin still refusing to call it the Old Firm.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good game. Both teams had chances. My initial reaction was that Gordon made the better saves, but Hearts created the better chances. As weird as that might sound, which indicates at poor finishing from Hearts, but Hibs should be better at getting Nisbet into better positions. But yeah, it was a good game. As the two best players on the pitch were Gordon and Macy, which indicates that it was enjoyable, engaging game for a neutral to watch. Hearts make it hard for me to sympathise with them. When
don't they?
No, from the Celtic fan perspective, obviously with my family background, I should sympathise with Hearts a bit. But then you have Barry Mackay coming on, looking like you've ordered Jack Grealish off Wish.com, just with his atrocious haircut. And then it was Andy Halliday might come on, and then Craig Gordon reminding us of the disaster of a decision Celtic made last season. But no, I thought it was a good game. Nisbet, he looked a standout player. He just looks a different class from the people on the pitch. Suter as well, I thought had a good game. Not the best I've seen him, but I thought it was a comfortable performance from him. And yeah, Doig was my disappointment. I mentioned to Gavin on the day, I didn't think he seemed to have a good game.
No, he didn't.
But no, it was promising. Some younger Scottish players coming through as well. So from that perspective, it was good to see. But yeah, it was enjoyable. Good advert for Scottish football.
I think you look at there were certain players on the pitch that played well. There were players that didn't play well. Hanlon didn't play well for Hibs. I don't think Halkett played well for Hearts. I thought there was he sort of had a couple of mistakes early on, and I thought Hibs could maybe capitalise on that a bit more. I was slightly surprised that Mackay-Steven's gone off for Ginnelly. Yep. I actually think Ginnelly came on and Doig had him. I don't think he got past him a lot of the time. I think
there were a couple of times he lost.
I don't think he caused too much more hassle than Stevens did. Anyway, I think Stevens did cause a bit more grief than Ginnelly did. Centre midfield for Hearts, the
Banagimi.
boy who got man of the match. Who was he?
Was it Benny Banagimi?
Aye, he played well. Won the ball, kept the ball, especially the first half. Haring, I didn't think played as well. I thought he maybe lost the ball a bit more. But and even on the Hibs side of things, McGuinness usually is a bit more attack minded. Newell lost the ball more than I'd like to see him. Newell's really good with the ball at close control at his feet. A couple of wee touches, wee turns, draws people in and just sort of pushes away. And he just didn't do that. There was a couple of times he got caught in the ball. But there was a lot of different players, a lot of things happening in the game that I won't go too into depth to, but I thought Porteous had a good game, apart from an early, there was an early one where it was up the wing with Mackay-Steven, where he's just tried to take the piss out of Mackay-Steven and let him run into him. Mackay-Steven running around the other side and ended up being Porteous ended the game with a corner. But I think what's good to see is that's Hibs and Hearts both now sitting no losses. Only 2 teams in the league, no losses. We aren't top of the league anymore. We're a point behind a team that cannot be named. And
Begins with an S.
but look at it. I mean, I think Hibs have maybe had an easier run of games than Hearts over the first however many games we are in. Hearts have already played Aberdeen and Celtic. Hibs haven't played anybody who finished in the top 4 last year yet. So I think we've got St Mirren next week as well. So I sort of looked at the first 6-7 games of the season and thought, okay, we could actually put a good run together here. And we have done. Our draw at Tynecastle isn't anything to be sniffed at. Losing points to Dundee is. But good start of the season for Hibs. Very happy with that.
I see. You've done your kind of low down from the Hibs perspective. I'll go from the Hearts perspective then.
Yeah.
I think the talk up Hibs first. I agree. Porteous had a good game. I do think McGinn had quite a good game. Was always there or thereabouts.
Yep.
Not afraid to get on the ball. Newell had a poor game. I think was due to Banagimi playing so well, but he's been a standout for Hearts this season thus far. Nisbet obviously we rave about him all the time in here.
Mm.
And as I said to James today, it'd be good to see him get his performances up a bit at an international level now.
I do think we're needing a striker at national level. He could be it if he picks up just a wee bit more.
He's got the good consistency at club level now. He just needs to transfer that in. As I said, Cadden did well. McGuinness did well. Boyle, I was a bit disappointed with him. He didn't really get too much on, but in that sense, I was happy that he didn't get too much on the ball. And from a Hearts perspective, Halkett and Suter both had a lot of mistakes today, which is unlike them.
Yep.
Kingsley was solid as always since he's come in. Woodburn did really well. He really impressed me.
Subbed off early though.
Yeah. I think he's still a case of trying to find match fitness.
Right.
But he was really impressive. Same with Mackay-Steven. I actually remember saying to James today that if Mackay-Steven could keep his form up, he could force his way back into international contention.
Mm-hmm.
Again, surprised at the sub, but also I know that Ginnelly does offer something different. And there was a couple of times where he did lose Doigan. I remember there was a header that he put on target and Macy had to tip over, which was a good opportunity for us. But then we go to the guy that I'm ranting and raving about this weekend is Craig Gordon. He was a standout, and as much as we said Macy did really well, I do think Gordon had the harder saves to make, and I think he's solidified himself as Scotland's number one. Saturday, I finished Saturday thinking Xander Clark could push himself into international contention with the big games coming up against Israel especially, but I do think after today Gordon has just put his name out there, especially because I had a phone call with Martin about Derby before it kicked off, and I was saying about Gordon. He's like, aye, but Gordon will make a mistake today and then Clark will buck him, and it's like,
there was a wee point. There was a point I was screaming at the telly for somebody to hit where Craig Gordon was out almost at the dugout, and he made a clearance, and it didn't go that far, and I don't know who sort of picked it up, but they just dallied on it, and I'm thinking, fucking hit! But Gordon doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and James will know that because he used to be a Celtic goalkeeper.
It was when Craig Gordon tried to take a throw in today.
and all the fans are like, no,
Don't
don't
But,
do that, Craig.
if you said to me after 5 games that Hearts were going to be sitting third in the league, I would have took it, especially knowing that we had Hibs, Aberdeen, and Celtic in our first 5 games. No defeats either is a godsend. It's a bonus. I'm just looking at our next kind of few fixtures. We've got Ross County next, which
Home or away?
away, so it could be a difficult one.
It's a massive difference playing Ross County home and away. I mean, Ross County, when you're at home, is fine. Going to Dingwall is not an easy task.
No, definitely not. And then after them, we've got Livingston at home, which the way Livingston played this season is a good time to play them, especially at Tynecastle.
Yep.
After that is Motherwell at home, which again, at home, you think we'd manage to top the performance and get another win, but then after that it's Rangers Ibrox, so that'll be a big test. But yeah, I'm quite optimistic about the next few games and remaining in the top league. I think, I don't know if any of you heard, but I'm sure Robbie Nielsen said something about being in a title fight this season, which there's one thing getting excited and carried away with where you sit. There's nothing in like 5 games. We need to be a bit realistic, but yeah, I'll take third place currently. It's a hell of a lot better than 5th, isn't it, James?
How is it down there, James, anyway?
How is it down there? It's fine. Got a very good goal difference. And expected points, I think we're doing quite well.
Wait. Expected goals, Martin. I should have won the expected goals, so therefore we should have won the game. Fuck you.
1.3 to 1.03. That's hardly anything a difference. And I think looking at a lot of the statistics there wasn't a lot in it considering Hearts were the home team.
At half time there was. At half time it was 1.0.
Oh, at half time there was. But
and
a game's played over 90 minutes, so I'm pretty sure you're aware. And I think a lot of Hibs chances were in the last 5 minutes, and I'm thinking, Ken, this is actually the thing with the Hearts and Hibs games. I know we're trying to sort of push on to the next subject, but the thing with the Hearts and Hibs games, see over the past couple of years, it's been a case of Hibs have been on top for a long portions of the game, and then Hearts will get a goal on a counter attack, or a centre half will take a shot for 40 yards and it'll dip in, or and sort of things like that. I mean, Stevens, who's the boy with the tattoos? He done it as well, and the answer to the effort. I was that knackered that I was just swinging my leg at it, and that dipped in, and Hibs were over Hearts, especially that day. But the day I sort of saw Hearts create a lot of chances and not score, so I thought, okay, this is the chance for Hibs to actually nick it last minute and do something. But although we were close, not to be today.
There was a couple of ones actually just before we move on that James mentioned to me about if we had someone a bit more of an imposing figure rather than Boyce in the middle of the park, and I said opportunities like that is where Ganang Dooley would have been brilliant because he's 6 foot plus and he's a target man. He gets his head and things, he powers them in. So with James mentioning that, it was good to get another person kind of more neutral perspective on the game and be able to have a bit of discussion with regards to it. And I'm sure James enjoyed the discussion and at times debate from watching the game today. But yeah, 5th place. What's it like down there?
Very cold. But no, it's good fun. I think if we're moving to the next topic, we'll start with the victory from team in 5th place, and a 3-0 victory against Ross County at home. It was a comfortable win. I was at the game. We were the better team. 3-0 probably is an accurate reflection, even though Ross County probably deserved a goal, but we probably deserved another one. 4-1 would have been the more fair result, but a 3-goal victory is fair. But we were flat. Without Kyogo Furuhashi. There you go. I tried.
was
There
close,
you go.
mate. I
That was
close.
great. That was as close as you've been.
I don't know.
Like
A lot better
I've
than
been
what I've been.
practicing all day whilst driving back from Gavin's. Uh,
Fury Hashi. Fury Hashi.
um,
Kyogo.
Diogo, yes. But the big news at Celtic this week isn't even on the pitch. It's Dominic Mackay leaving. Martin, do you think this is going to have an impact on the pitch for Celtic?
None whatsoever.
Thank you for the in-depth summary.
You look at the guys behind the scenes, and at this point, they've got nothing to do until the next transfer window. I know they'll be sort of doing bits and bobs, but really, it's the manager and the players. The players are in this transfer window. At least he's left with enough time to get to the next transfer window that they can get stuff in line. But I think Celtic's main issue is letting the coach, let the players play and get the best players they can in. So if they can get the best players they can in January again, there might be a shout, but I think they're still short a player or two.
Yeah, I think what Celtic fans thought was going to happen was that now we'd look at a director of football, head of recruitment, data analytics, and coaching staff. But that's kind of all been put on the back burner because we're now looking for our third chief executive of 2021. Maybe 10 in a row is on. We can get there, but no. Yeah, Gavin, did you get to see any of the Celtic game yesterday?
I saw a couple of the highlights, not much. I do think that Ajeti had a very good game. He seemed, it's probably one of his, I've actually probably go as far as saying his best performance in a Celtic shirt. From what I've seen anyway, he seemed to be a bit more confident. I still like, is it Abada?
Abada.
I think he's got some good promising attributes still for Celtic in the season. Still not sold on Joe Hart, but I don't think there's many people who are quite fully sold on Joe Hart. But no, definitely good recruitment, and the way that and just wanting them to play scoring goals, they seem to be doing very well at home.
That's how most managers want teams to play, Gavin.
Scoring goals. Okay, sorry, I'll rephrase that. Scoring goals in plentiful proportions to conceding in terms of at home. James will correct me on this, but it's something like 2 6-0 victories and a 3-0 or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So he just needs to transform that into an away.
Yes. When it comes to Joe Hart, I think he's actually buying into the club's ethos. Yesterday in the warm-up, he was wearing a top with Thompson and 90 on the back.
Saw that, aye.
As it was the 90th anniversary of the death of John Thompson in an Old Firm game, when it was the Old Firm. It was and even on the pitch, he's a leader, and his experiences, a lot of young players in Celtic. So I think the fans are starting to buy into Joe Hart, and he made a good save yesterday as well. Ajeti, well, Ross County.
You only save the shots that hit you.
Yeah.
How disrespectful to Ross County.
Oh, I mean, you'd have more shots per goal then.
I bet you Big Jordan White is sitting there like, we do all right.
Well, Ajeti was a weird one because he obviously doesn't make the runs that Kyogo makes. So I was in the stand thinking, this is very flat. He needs to run in behind and pull the defenders out. But then he scored 2 goals. So clinical, but at the same time, I don't think he played well, which sounds very strange to say.
I think strikers can get away with that. It's the only position on the pitch that you can be null and void for 80 minutes of the game.
Look at Berbatov.
And just pop up twice. Aye.
Yeah.
Or Edouard for Crystal Palace.
Oh, he was on the pitch for 7 minutes, wasn't he?
We'll get to that.
I think he's averaging 25 goals a game in the Premier League. But it's quite a feat. No, but Ross County, they were pretty poor, and I don't think they've had a win all season. Should they be panicking about relegation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Livingston are still in the league, so
Now, that was a nice conclusion. We'll move on to the next game. St Johnstone v Rangers. 2-1 victory for Rangers. Gavin, today you were saying that, well, you said earlier in the podcast, Sander Clark, you were thinking yesterday should get a call up to the Scotland squad because of the game.
No.
Not just that game. I think his performances last season also merited it. You can argue that and counter it by saying that they've not actually won a game and they have conceded goals, but I think he has.
Beat Galatasaray.
It's the reflex saves that he makes. I think he's got pretty good reactions to that sort of stuff. And he's, again, it's the whole leadership. You want a goalkeeper who can lead the team, and he's got one of the best. I saw when I watched the Rangers game. It was he's got the best XG per saves in terms of expected goals stopped in the whole of the league so far this season, which has to count for something.
Indeed, it does.
And I did think St Johnstone could have managed to scrape a point away. I don't think they were ever favourites to win the game. I don't think there was at any point it looked like they were going to win the game, but they're also yet without a win this season, and they need to start kind of getting the goals to get the points.
Martin, if you were a St Johnstone fan, would you be worrying without any wins? You've sold Jason Kerr and Ali McCann for not a lot of money.
I don't think I'd be worried about relegation. I would be worrying about maybe a bottom six finish. I mean, the way they're going, they're still in Europe, I want to say. They're still in the conference, aren't they? Gaze look upon both of us. Did they get knocked out of that too? They got knocked out of that too. So they.
Please wait for me. No, they're not worried. Yeah,
I'm just getting that from James.
The UK is in Europe, so they're still in Europe. Well, you're right. Shoot.
Anyway,
Martin, to say that it's not worried about relegation or that though, but if you look at it, so Livingston bottom on 1 point, St Johnstone are seventh, I think it is, 8th on 3. They're 4 points away from 7th place in Dundee United, and 5 games on already. 4 points.
I think they've put an awful lot into the European run. I think everything's been trying to get through Europe and sort of will leave the league first couple of, well, not quite leave the league, but they have made sure that the Europe was the priority at the start. Obviously that didn't work out well, because I know they went out. But they've got their win against Galatasaray. They've got their last season with the cups. I think there will be more of a cup team this year. I think they're struggling in the league. I can't see them pushing like they were last year. Somewhere about 6th, but I wouldn't worry too much about the relegation side of things. I think they'll pull themselves together once they'll get a chance to rest and get ready for the games ahead.
The other side of the table, we've obviously got Rangers, and we're now top of the table. A 2-1 win. Did the performance justify a win? Or
I don't think so. For me anyway, I think that it was a draw would have been a fair result. However, I think the last 15 minutes or so, you could have seen Rangers scoring more and running away with the game and making it an unjustifiable scoreline than potential 3 or 4 towards the end of it. You know, Fashion Sakala had a good opportunity, which was a good save from Sander Clark. But I think you need to mention the fact that Tavernier scored a potential for goal of the season on the half volley to secure the points for them.
I think looking at it, I mean, Rangers still had 70% possession. I mean, they still hit, I'm reading to the screen, they still hit 10 shots, they still had 4 shots on target. St Johnstone had 1 shot on target. Did they deserve to win? I think when you're watching the game, it was borderline between a draw and Rangers win. There wasn't a lot between it. I think Rangers will do that though. I think they will turn draws into wins over the course of the season. Last season there was a lot of games that they weren't the best team and they dragged out a win. Whether that changes at some point this season, I have seen a wee bit more weakness about them as opposed to there was last season where they were a lot more dominant.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, Martin, because James mentioned to me today when we were watching the Hearts game about how Rangers kind of grit their teeth and grinded out that result.
And what I was going to say is about the weaknesses that aren't, or that were starting to emerge that aren't, or that weren't there last season. Katic away on loan is a very strange last day of the transfer window, considering that Goldson's now isolating for COVID and Hollander went off injured. Katic is a proven centre back and might miss him. And then the obvious one as well is McGregor not starting league games. Is his time coming to an end? Is he getting phased out?
I think he's definitely getting phased out. I think it's more of a phasing the other goalkeeper in, though, McLaughlin in. You're trying to give him as much game time as possible without telling McGregor, right, that's you done. Because I think there's still some football in McGregor.
I think as well, McLaughlin showed over his time at Hearts, at Sunderland, and at Rangers since he's been there that he's a solid, reliable goalkeeper. He does come up with some big saves and some. He's getting to a similar stage of McGregor where he will win you points over the season. It's just getting him the game time. You know, when you look at the defensive side of things, though, I think it's going to have to be a case of if, depending on how bad Hollander's injury is, they're going to have to probably play someone like Bassey or Barisic as a centre half, which I don't know how well they'll manage to adapt to that role.
I think Tavernier's played centre half before, not very often, but and get Patterson in right back. I think that'd
another
be
possibility.
Yeah. Another surprise team of this season, Hearts is one of them, but the other one's Motherwell. They were 2-0. Why the funny face, Gavin?
Hearts been a surprise team.
Yeah, you even said you didn't expect you to finish.
I didn't expect us to be third, but top six, I'll be happy with top six. We should be the fucking surprise team, you bastard.
Well, anyway, when you look at the surprise teams like Hearts and Motherwell,
yeah, 2-0 victory over Aberdeen.
Again, Aberdeen were over them.
Didn't Martin say that Motherwell were going to be the new Hamilton?
Well, they are. I mean, Aberdeen had 75% possession.
Well, where are Motherwell sitting in the league, mate?
I couldn't care. Hamilton sit high up the league as well. I still hate them. 20 shots for Aberdeen, only 6 shots for Motherwell.
Motherwell are above Celtic.
Oh, that's not hard. Half the league's above Celtic.
Almost, not quite.
Almost. So obviously it's an Aberdeen dominant game, but if you get the chances, you've got to score them. Motherwell have Aberdeen, didn't they?
Good summary.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll accept that.
And then the two other fascinating games of the weekend. Dundee v Livingston, nothing each. I don't even know where to begin with this game. Lee Griffiths, let's start with him.
Great effect he's having on the Dundee team, isn't it?
Yeah. Will he be a good signing for Dundee?
For fun.
I think he will be a good signing for Dundee. I think him and Cummins up front will score goals. I was a bit surprised that they didn't get any during the game against the division's bottom team.
I think the fact that Cummings didn't start made a big thing. The fact that it was Alex Jakubiak he came on for, and Jakubiak played for Falkirk in the Championship and I'm sure League One, maybe not, but he came to Chelsea's academy, so he must be a good player. However, he did shit for Falkirk.
And for everybody else that I've ever seen him play for.
Watford.
So,
yeah.
Just going by the shots, considering it was 0-0, shots on target, 8 shots on target for Dundee, 4 shots on target for Livingston. So busy enough game, but no goals. Another fest.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been in Dundee on transfer deadline day, and Gordon Strachan's role. So Gordon Strachan, technical director of Dundee. Let me reach out to Celtic if they have a player. Let me reach out to this guy called Gordon Strachan, who's a
one second, I'll follow him. Hi, Gordon. Who's this? It's Gordon. Gordon. I was wondering if you had any players. I don't know if I've got any players. What about Lee Griffiths? You all right then? Great. Is that good? Yeah, let's sign him. Sorry, done.
I suppose that's the benefit of having two jobs. You get two work phones, so you can actually have that conversation.
I wonder if he got a bonus from both teams for setting up the deal.
Can you imagine?
Could you imagine the email going missing though? That's the only reason why it worked, because when Celtic sent an email to Dundee, it didn't go missing.
Gordon.strachan@dundeefc.com.
And then the other team in that game is Livingston. You might get rid of plastic pitches in the top flight if this keeps up.
Good possibility, and I'm in the hope. Martindale's just not had a good start to the season. Who was it? The Aberdeen signed? Jet. What's his name? Having silly names in the back of your talk because it's not your actual name. So Jet signed for Aberdeen. That was a big part of Livingston's team last year.
J. Manuel Thomas.
Him the one.
I was like, who the fuck's Jet? I'm like, I've never heard it. But no, J. Manuel Thomas. Did he not come through Arsenal's academy? I'm pretty sure he's an ex-Arsenal academy graduate.
Might be, but
yes, okay.
Matt Macy. Sorry, just completely off subject there, but yeah, Jet. Okay, JJ the jet plane.
Anyway, I think they're struggling. I kind of see where their next points are coming to. And looking at the other teams that I thought would be in the mix of going down, Livingston are the one that sort of Motherwell are pulling strings together. They signed O'Donnell. I still think it's terrible.
I would say I don't know where Livingston's next points are coming from, but if my mind serves correctly, they're playing Celtic at home or away form. It might indicate 2 points going to Livingston. The final game of the weekend in the Premiership, the cinch Premiership, was St Mirren Dundee United. Again, nothing each.
15 shots for St Mirren though, one on target.
Yeah.
St Mirren have turned into a Hibs feeder team, and I think we've took a lot of their best players.
Which tells you a lot about.
Which sort of explains why they're not doing so great right now.
15 shots, one shot on target. Sounds very Hibs-like.
Well, considering we've now got their best players and they aren't there, it's kind of hard to say that. But Dundee United, I kind of expected them to put something together this season, and again they've not really shown up.
My summary of both teams is that they're both tidy. They'll get enough points throughout the season to be comfortable. I think Dundee and Livingston are your two teams that are probably going to be 12th and 11th.
I'm still going with Livingston and fuck it, Motherwell.
I do think it's nice to see a competitive league, especially those early on. The top 7 teams all split by just 5 points. If you go look at the bottom half, all split by 2 points. Even then, there's not a massive gap in between 7th and 8th forming. But it's nice to see a bit of a competitive side of Scottish football. And I've said it at the end of last season. It's nice. I do think Scottish football is getting better, especially with teams getting cup runs and such. And it's not just the ugly sisters, as Martin calls them, winning everything.
I think with the ugly sisters missing out on points early on as well, it has made it a bit more interesting. Obviously, Hibs Hearts top of the league before the game today. Before the Rangers game. And sort of if there had been a winner, would have been top of the league again. Motherwell obviously up. Hibs, Hearts, Motherwell all on 10 points. Rangers not far ahead. I'd like to see a lot more teams sort of taking points of Rangers this season. I think they have looked.
Same.
And Celtic. I think they have looked a bit more susceptible to lots of parts of the game this year as opposed to last year. So I'm just looking forward to a lot of teams taking points up at the Old Firm and maybe have Hearts. But
you said the Old Firm.
That's not on the script.
Can we edit that out? see if I say something about the Taliban or something, can we just edit the whole thing?
Well,
No.
Before we go down that tangent.
Wait now, before we move on, I want to say to Martin that when you said about if a team, one of the Edinburgh teams managed to get a win, if it was only both teams could have afforded to lose 1-0, and the losers would have still been sitting third in the league, which tells you how close it is, but also how well Hearts and Hibs have done at the start of the season.
Yep.
So now, talking about another competitive league, the English Premier League. A lot of good teams in that this season. Well, I'll pass over to Martin.
We'll do a quick run through.
You were top of the league before the weekend fixtures, but I told you, everyone was like,
"So let's start."
Nuno started so well. And I was like, calm.
I'm setting him off on one.
Graham Potter.
I reckon we'll let James lead the Spurs game. Mainly because the biggest difference in the game, apart from the sending off, which was stupid, the biggest difference in the game was a player whose last action for his previous team was to miss a sitter. Oh wait, that was for your team, James, and his first action for his new team is to score 2 goals against your team, James.
One after 30 seconds.
Yes.
Oh, what? 30 seconds into your debut and you score a goal.
So James, I think you should take control of the Spurs Crystal Palace game.
Oh yes, well I'm happy to take the lead on this. We've not been playing well all season. I think I said that on the 2 episodes ago. We have scraped victories. It's not going to keep up, and people are going to find out that Nuno's not the manager to lead us. Yesterday was that starting to be exposed. Like, you go away to Selhurst Park, it's a difficult place to go to usually, but we were outplayed. It wasn't even like a tight game. Palace went out to play football, and they were a better team than Tottenham, and we deserved to lose. We struggled without Son, and then we lost Eric Dyer early on, and then Tanganya. Zaha and him should have both been sent off.
Yep.
But
I agree completely.
But if Zaha is a booking, then Tanganya is definitely a red card because of the fuddle and the aftermath of it. So I think both were red card, but at the very least he was red and Zaha was yellow. And then Zaha, Tanganya then gets sent off, which kind of balanced things out because he should have been. And then Zaha scores the penalty, then gets this for Edward, and then Edward finishes it off.
Look at the game. I thought Gallagher for Crystal Palace had a really good game. I thought
second game in a row for him.
MacArthur again played well. For Spurs though, Harry Kane didn't have any touches inside the box and he didn't have any shots. That's the first time that's ever happened. The worst, it was on Match of the Day that he had, the worst they had previously was 1 touch inside the box against Man City with no shots. So that's the worst he's, as a striker, it's the worst he's played, to a degree of not having the chances, whether it's him or his team or being in position to.
Yeah, and on top of Son, we also had Romero not play because of the international football thing, and he is probably the best defender at the club now. So Spurs were not at their strongest, but it's Crystal Palace, and they've just went through a massive transition. And if you can't even compete in that game, then we're not going to get Champions League football this season. Maybe this isn't what a fan should wish, but I want Tottenham to have quite a poor season and Arsenal to do better, so they don't sack Arteta and then get Graham Potter.
That's
cynical.
I know it's cynical, but see the next club that Graham Potter goes to. Oh, they're going to be immense after a season.
So looking at Edouard's 2 finishes,
scuffed and
I thought it was poor. I mean, it came on the first touch he had was basically a goal. So the ball was played to him. He took his first touch and he had to take like 3 steps before he actually managed to get the ball to hit his shot. So I don't know how he managed that. And the second goal, I don't know who the centre half was. The centre half went across to the side to the ball where he didn't have to. Left Edouard all on his own. He took a touch, had millions of time, and he still almost got tackled. Yeah. And then when he hit a shot, it was still far too close to the keeper.
Yeah, keeper went that far. The keeper got a hand out and he saves it. And you only lose 2-0.
Vex impersonation.
Yeah, that's the Pickford impersonation. Gavin, you got anything to say in the game?
Tanganga's a fucking numpty.
That was a great tackle.
That was an American football football-esque tackle, just for the. Nope, not today.
I've got this thing.
However, they were both swinging. Like, they were both fucking swinging, which that shocked me. I've not seen things like that since Lee Bowyer and Kieran Dyer when they both played for Newcastle. It was proper punches swinging, and then Tanganga wanted a hug.
I think when you look at things like that, see when you know you're going to get a yellow card, right? So you've decided, I'm going to take a yellow card here. Kick him, hurt him a little bit. Then he gets sent off, but just do enough to hurt him. Just go over the ball slightly and hurt. Then he just push him. He's not going to get hurt for that. That's not going to benefit your team whatsoever. Again, it's extremely cynical. But if you're going to help me get a yellow card, do it for a reason. And I kind of the player was doing it as a bit of a tedious sort of thing where they thought that the ball should go out. Referee makes that decision now, know the players, and if you want the play to stop, you're going to have to take a booking for it. But then he pushed the boy, kick him. Anyway, I may be slightly cynical on that, but that's my opinion. No. So
being cynical would have been what I was saying all day today at the Hearts Hibs game, watching it and going, break his leg. And
I'm thinking, isn't break your leg an expression for good luck?
Good luck, yeah. So he's giving good luck to everybody all that day.
And I never said break your leg, I said break his leg. There's a couple of other words thrown in there, but I'm not going to say it just in case there's children watching.
Yeah. Hi, Josh. So, next game, Man United. Ronaldo making his comeback to the home crowd at Manchester. Anybody see the game?
Saw the first goal. Ronaldo's first goal. He was lucky.
A mistake.
No, you say that, but see if you watch the replay of the goal, the defender has took 0 steps in the same amount of time as Ronaldo's took 6. Ronaldo's constantly moved. Every time there's a shot at the keeper, he's took 3 steps towards keeper, stayed onside, but went towards the keeper, and that's what you're getting with Ronaldo. He's not the player he used to be because he's not going to. Although he still managed a couple of step overs, I think I think he'll make a difference. I think when you look at that game, if he wasn't there, the first goal didn't happen. And I think as soon as the game gets on to 60, 70, 80 minutes, crowd starts getting on your back, I don't think you win that game.
To be fair, I'm pretty glad he played and he did well, because it was 13 points for my fantasy football. And I'll take...
You have him captain too?
No, Lukaku.
Why not?
Lukaku.
We'll get on to Lukaku next. James, did you see much of the Newcastle Man United game?
Yeah, I saw the highlights. Good goal by Bruno. Newcastle's goal was taken well as well.
Yep.
But yeah, Ronaldo does offer something different. I do worry about Mason Greenwood, about how much game action that he'll get. But
It's whether he'll benefit on the training ground or not. I mean, Ronaldo's not the sort of player you sub off after 86 minutes. Ronaldo wants to be on the pitch the whole time, which is fair enough. I don't know if Gavin's picture's froze, but we'll keep talking anyway. Gavin.
Yeah, my question is, Jadon Sancho's a massive waste of money at the moment, but how much more does Jesse Lingard have to do to prove that he should be getting more game time, in terms of he should be playing ahead of Jadon Sancho at the moment? But then again, Greenwood should be playing ahead of the two of them, I think.
I don't think Jesse Lingard's Man U quality.
I don't think he is either, but he's performed better than what Sancho has so far for them.
Well, so far Sancho's only just came onto the scene. Yeah. Really. I mean, he's needing a chance to. There's players at Man United that I still don't think are good enough. I as much as everybody argues with me, I don't think Rashford's good enough. I don't think Martial as a centre forward is good enough. I don't think Fred. I know Fred's not good enough. Fred's pish, and that was one of the best things.
Two players, and you've not even mentioned Fred yet.
Oh, he's the only reason we actually got that win was because Fred was the fucking playing useless.
Fred or Matic, who would you rather?
Oh, Matic all day long. Fucking Fred or my granny who died years ago. I'd still pick somebody else other than Fred. Useless. I digress. There is players at Man United that aren't of Man United quality. I mean, Daniel James, who we've managed to just offload, he was one of Man United's best players last year before. Still wasn't Man United quality, but he was still one of Man United's best players, which shows you how bad that they were. But I can see them pushing on now. I saw a lot of Man United. I thought Newcastle tried to play in the counter, tried to play a back 5-4 and hitting the counter, and I thought Newcastle looked dangerous at times.
Oh, they're hard to watch.
They are.
I feel sorry.
Alan Shearer is not happy.
Imagine going from the days of Kevin Keegan, who wasn't that great a manager, to be fair.
No.
But they were so fun to watch back then. And then you had Rafa before Steve Bruce, who actually managed to get results. And then, they're so dull. They remind me of paint drying.
I think a lot of that's going to come down to the players, though. I think you look at the philosophy they've got of bringing players in. They haven't got one. The players, I mean, they used to have Ginola, Faustino Asprilla, Philip Albert, kind of had top players that would go and sort of showcase their skills, and they would entertain the fans. They haven't got that now. They've got one.
Amaron, Ryan Fraser was good at Bournemouth, Callum Wilson's good striker, but crikey,
I would say
they even stifle St Maximin. Oh, they're just pure. I hope they go down. Hope Mike Ashley tells the club.
I think James has found his Hamilton.
I say that as
No.
somebody who's actually quite sympathetic to Newcastle. I quite like them as a team, but they're garbage to watch.
Right, without staying too much on it, there's one more game that I want to spend a bit of time on, and then we'll sort of quickly go through the rest of the games. I want to talk quickly more about the Chelsea Aston Villa game. I actually enjoyed the game. I thought it was a really good game. Gavin, you're a Chelsea fan. I'll let you talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a very good game. There was 3-0 flattered us. Completely and utterly flattered us. We didn't deserve 3-0. There was times up until probably the second, even after the second goal, that it seemed like Aston Villa were going to cause an upset. Mendy had a brilliant game, as expected of Mendy. I do think Lukaku played well. I was disappointed he never got another goal because he was my captain in fantasy football, and I thought he was going to get a hat trick, especially with Mackay-Steven goal. But it was one of those performances that you grind it out, and it's just a case of we managed to take our chances when we got them.
Would Martinez have made any difference to any of the goals?
It's a hard one. There was a couple. Lukaku's second was just magnificent. I don't think he would have made a difference with that one. But at the same time, you think players like Martinez, he's got more of a reach. I think he's going to be better at his outstretched saves. Might have got there. But I think the other big miss was Buendia.
Yeah.
They missed a creative player. So you saw it when Bailey came on. When Leon Bailey came on, he did really well in terms of just trying to give him an attacking outlet, and same with Bertrand Traore, a bit of pace, attacking outlet, caused a couple of opportunities for Villa. So I do think Buendia would have made a difference if he was playing.
I've got a soft spot for Villa. I did follow them when they were in the Championship, where I tried to get a Championship team.
Don't try and bullshit about the whole Championship team. You follow them because of John McGinn. Just admit it, right? There we go. Sorry.
Well, I picked them to follow at that point because of John McGinn.
And
following them.
The lion on the Aston Villa crest is to represent Scotland, and the lion rampant because of the Scottish influence with the club.
He said, there. That's a completely different part of my screen too. I mean, looking at the game, Villa had a lot of chances. I mean, the one where McGinn wins the ball back far up the pitch, and McGinn won the ball back an awful lot actually. Won the ball back far up the pitch, played in Watkins, who started changed direction on the goalkeeper and dinked it over him and hit was it Silva on the side to make the block. And I think that there was opportunities like that where you just think, can hit the roof of the net, can you smash that in, or go the other way around the keeper as opposed to change the way. McGinn could have had the shot before he played on Watkins, and there was, I think Mendy had a good game actually. Mendy made a couple of good saves. The way Villa set up, they changed their formation to a 3-5-2 to match up with Chelsea, which I think worked to a degree. I think they created chances, they just didn't finish them. I mean, the fact that they had Watkins and Ings playing up front together, which is what I think all of the Aston Villa fans wanted to see. Again, creating chances and no finishing them. Having strikers like Watkins and Ings, you're expecting something to go in.
I feel like goals are coming for them though, especially with that strike partnership, and you've got players like McGinn, Buendia, Bailey, Traore who can chip in with goals here and there. My biggest moment where I was sitting laughing was how there was a drop ball moment because I think it was Chalobah who I thought, again, Chalobah having a very good game. Didn't expect him to play, but I think it was Traore, the ball was trapped underneath Chalobah, so referee signaled for a drop ball, and McGinn was like, oh no, let's get everyone up. So he was bringing everyone up and let's drop ball, and the referee was like,
drop ball.
No, don't drop balls, don't do contested drop balls. And it went, Silva dropped it and passed it out, and all you see is McGinn pressing it. It's like, you know what, that's the sort of mentality that he's got, and you see it when he plays for Scotland, you see it when he plays for Villa. He does try 100%.
And I think you sort of you talk about players like McGinn, and they're not the most gifted players in the world. Although I have seen what his goal against Sheffield Wednesday is probably one of the best goals I've ever seen. But he does it brings up the level of everybody around him. Because he's running constantly, everybody else is having to run constantly to sort of make up for it, and it's a massive difference having a player like him in your team. But just not enough against Chelsea on the day.
I would recommend that Thomas Tuchel read Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, verse 9.
James, what does Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, verse 9 say?
It is when Saul turns to Paul, and Paul then becomes one of the great disciples of Christ. Because Saul yesterday played a very poor game.
Yes.
And if he turned to Paul, then Chelsea would have a cracking player in there. That was the reference point.
Was that you making a Paul Pogba comparison there?
No, it was Paul the disciple, whose name went from Saul to Paul.
Got it, okay.
And
Anyway,
was Paul the disciple a cracking midfielder, was he? Brilliant playmaker.
He did his job to the point where he became a saint, which is the ultimate qualification that he can get. So yeah,
a lot of Chelsea players going to Southampton, the Saints.
Before we go into that,
anyway,
Saul had a poor game.
Yes,
Jorginho made a difference when he came on.
Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
Right, enough on that game. I think we'll quickly run through the rest of the games. Arsenal actually managed to win against Norwich, but they managed to win. That's good.
Ronaldo still scored more goals than Arsenal this season.
Good point. Now, James, I want to quickly get your opinion on this game, because this was an expected goals game that should have went through the roof. This is Brentford against Brighton, where it should have been expected goals all over the place.
But I'm going to make a reference which I think nobody would expect from me. But see, like in wrestling, and there's like the cash in the bank thing, and you
money in the bank.
Money in the
bank.
bank.
Fucking going mental in the comments. Get this right. Money in the bank.
Money in the bank, and it means once in that year you get to basically ask for a championship match. This is what Graham Potter is doing with all his unused expected goals. He's just cashing it in this season. I was like, even when he only gets 0.19 against Brentford away, cash it in the last minute, get a last minute winner.
And still gets a win.
Yeah, look at that. I say we, the Potter Army, which I am the sole member of.
Potter Army.
I'm so member of the Potter Army, but the royal we I use there.
Mark, can you make a T-shirt with James's face in the Potter Army?
Yes, I can. I'll note that down now. Sports Hub podcast will be available for merchandise. Just contact us and with your credit card details, and we'll put that through to you.
Yeah, Graham Potter, he's going to cash it all in. Brighton are going to be shooting up the table. It's exciting times to be a seagull.
So, quite happy with Brentford, Brighton. Anything on the Brentford side of things, or did they not exist, James? You just didn't mention.
Well, it was a bit of a mixed one, because I had Sanchez in goals from the fantasy football point of view, but I had Tony up front. So
Tony had a good opportunity though.
Yeah, I had Sanchez in goals as well.
So
likewise.
So we go from there. We go Man City Leicester. Now that should have been one of the top games really of the weekend. Man City against Leicester, and Man City won 1-0, and not a lot happened. Did anybody catch much of the highlights? It wasn't very high up in the match of the day highlights really anyway. Even
the goal was quite poor. It was kind of a shot, and it kind of just fell at the feet of Silva after a deflection. Quite a boring game.
Yeah, and I don't think there was scrolling down to see how many shots there were, but there wasn't. Well, in saying that, Man City had 25 shots and Leicester had 6, 8 of them on target for Man City, 1 of them on target for Leicester. So, Schmeichel was busy. Next game, let's go for West Ham against Southampton. Southampton, West Ham even. 0-0. Antonio Centre was not happy in my Final Fantasy team. Fantasy football team. Different game completely. So, yeah, again another game where not a lot happened.
No, I think Antonio sending off was more out of frustration than anything else. Nothing really went West Ham in terms of the way they were playing. Nothing worked for them. So I think it was more a frustration sending off rather than Tanganga's fucking borderline assault sending off.
Borderline?
I do want to mention one player from Southampton, and Gavin will be happy because it's a Chelsea graduate. Livramento, another solid game from him. He looks like a very good buy.
Moving on, Watford Wolves. 2 goals for Wolves.
I've already went on this rant to Gavin today. I took Lewis Dunk out my fantasy football team and transferred in Marçal, and he got 2 assists and a clean sheet. Oh, he made me feel like Pep Guardiola. What a tactical genius that was. I even changed formation to get him into the team.
First goals under the new manager, isn't it? The 2 first goals, I'm sure, under the new manager.
Yeah, but Wolves this season are where the new Brighton. They had their XG was miles ahead of every team, every game they played, and yet they hadn't scored a goal. But the new striker scored a goal this week. Jimenez is coming back from a horrific injury. So Wolves will be exciting to watch this season. Watford, get them down. Don't like them.
Oh, yeah, Elton John will not be happy with you. Moving on, game today.
I don't care.
Coming away from Saturday. Leeds against. I think Leeds against.
That was badly timed.
Terrible time.
James, this is why you're single.
Yeah, that's it. Automatically blame James. Leeds against Liverpool today. I unfortunately the whole game has been overshadowed with the injury to Harvey Elliott, who I saw it live and then I sort of missed it a little bit, so I went round it and saw it again. Really shouldn't have round it and saw it again.
My live reaction to it.
Yeah,
we had the exact same reaction, and I've seen it a few times since then. I've seen it in slow motion since then, and it's just the dangle. It's
it's not nice, especially a young guy. Me and James.
However, I did see that when he showed up at hospital, there was a young boy who had broke his arm playing football that
during a football game. Yeah,
gave him his shirt from the match and one of his boots, which is a very humble thing for a young footballer to do. You get a lot of young footballers coming through the ranks and are big-headed arseholes, so it's nice to see a bit of humility.
I'm not taking away from the gesture because it was very nice, but I don't think Harvey Elliott's going to have that shirt hanged up on his wall and went, "This was the shirt I wore when I broke my ankle or leg." And he moved away. And he probably wanted to get rid of the shirt and boots and everything else as quick as possible. But saying that, it was a very nice gesture. The kid will like it.
Yeah, I'm hoping the kid hasn't just watched your reaction to it, James. So, but looking at you hope that it doesn't. Me and James spoke quickly before Gavin came on about the effects that an injury at a young age can hamper a career. You look at players like Jack Wilshere, even the great Ronaldo, the original one. Injuries
Andy
can be a
Carroll.
massive effect. Andy Carroll. Injuries can have a massive effect on a career where you just don't turn into the same player again after it. So hopefully it's a speedy recovery for him and he's back to his best.
It was one of those things when it happened, you saw him, he tried to get up, he was trying to deny it ever happened and get up and be like, no, I'm okay. And then he went down, punched the ground, the anger, the aggression coming out, trying to plead with the medical team, help me out here, do something.
Just pop it back in place so I can play on.
He was quite upset, about
I think
obviously going off in that sort of circumstance, a complete accident. It's like it's going to be a hard one to come back to, but then I do think he's going to accept the fact that he's going to be out for a while, but hopefully come back a better and stronger player.
So quickly talk about the red card. Was it a red card?
I didn't see it.
Yes, you did.
You go.
It was the same incident.
It was the same one.
I
didn't even realise it was the same incident. No, I think it was an accident. I don't think. Again, it was a case of we've kind of semi-talked about it in terms of before we started recording. Was it as a trailing leg situation? If it wasn't, if he didn't put it there, it'd have to be a 2-footer tackle, and it would have been a definite red card, more serious injury potentially.
I think depends how the person reacts to it. I mean, it would be quite bad if that player had a broken leg and then later on in the game the same player did something else to another player. But it wasn't a red card offence for me. James?
I probably say no, it wasn't.
The fact that Elliot tried to get up after it makes you think he didn't even realise it was as bad as it was.
Aye. But within the game, Firmino got a goal, Salah got a goal, Mane managed to eventually get a goal after all his chances. Liverpool in for a title challenge?
No.
Gav?
Nah. I don't think they have it.
No.
It's between City and Chelsea for first and second, and it's between Liverpool and Man U for third and fourth. And it's between Norwich and Arsenal for 20th.
I think Arsenal might just beat them to it.
Coming from the person who said that he wants Arsenal to finish above Tottenham, so that means that Norwich will finish 18th, Arsenal 19th, and Tottenham 20th.
Which will get rid of Santos if nothing.
It would, but we didn't get Graham Potter.
He's not going to drop
Might get Eddie Howe.
I know he'd agree for about 2 months and then.
Not that you're better. Not that you're better.
No, but we got Ange. Look, I've even got the jumper. You never know. If we went for Eddie Howe for 2 months, then it would be about 3 months after that Daniel Levy would have to resign. So
yeah,
every cloud has a silver lining, as they say.
Anyway, that's the Gavin. Quick, after the transfer window, has that changed your opinion on what's going to happen for winning the league? We've got James's opinion on the top, sort of 4-ish, give or take.
Chelsea have the best striker in the Premier League right now, so I think that they'll be up there.
Do they? Do they though?
Yeah.
So when did they sign Ronaldo?
They didn't. They signed Lukaku.
Excuse me,
Ronaldo's aware. Harry Kane had no touches in the box or no shots against fucking Crystal Palace. Aye, right. James, go back in your fucking box, right? Sit down.
I'm pretty sure Lukaku would have no touches if his central midfield was Harry Winks and Ollie Skip.
Harry Kane's got the same attitude as Odsonne Edouard had at Celtic. And the next time Harry Kane gets his move, 30 seconds into his debut, he'll pop up and score and be like, "Yes, I'm the best striker in the world."
No, the Harry Kane.
Yeah. Chelsea have the best striker in the Premier League right now. Period. Goodbye. End of conversation. Let's move on.
Anyway, between Man City and Man United to win the league, Chelsea will probably be within the mix, and then Liverpool fourth.
I think Man U will be up there now that they've got Ronaldo. I do agree with that. However, Chelsea have the best striker in the Premier League.
Man U lack a central defence midfielder. So
Yes, I completely agree with that.
They don't lack one. They've got one.
Especially
It's your shite.
Like you've got three.
They've actually got three. One's
Pedro.
injured. One's aging a bit and getting to the piss point, and one's just completely not a shit.
And who are the three? Who are the three you're mentioning?
Well, there's McTominay, Matic, and Fred, and yes, it was in that order.
I'm just double checking to check, but sure they've got some younger players who are better than Fred.
I'm sure the fucking under Simmons are better than fucking Fred.
Fuck it, let's get Ronaldo Jr. in.
And saying that, Ronaldo Jr. plays, he's in the same team as Rooney Jr. as well.
No. So before we go on another rant about Fresh, we might get reports of bullying at this rate. Let's move on to our round.
Right, Barney Rubble.
And our roundtable this week is the best sports-related show, and this came about because before the podcast, you, Martin, mentioned Question of Sport.
Yes.
Is Question of Sport your favourite one, or?
It used to be when it was good, when Alan McCoy was on it, but not anymore. I noticed that John McGinn was on it this week, so I was going to try and catch that episode. There used to be one that I used to watch all the time, and although it was an English-based one, it was called "They Think It's All Over." Was it Lee Hurst and Rory Brebner? I used to watch that constantly, but now I would have to say, what's the one? I don't even watch it because of the amount of adverts that really pisses me off. So it must be like a 20-minute show put in an hour between all the adverts. What's the one James Corden's in?
A League of Their Own.
A League of Their Own.
A League of Their Own. Well,
anymore.
I think he's not in it anymore, but he used to be. So A League of Their Own is actually really good, but they just have too many adverts.
Gavin?
See, this is where you're coming down to the whole, it's a generational thing. Martin's older, so Martin's going to say ones that we don't really know.
I've got another one you don't know, but I'll wait till the end to tell you.
Okay, I would say League of Their Own's up there, but since James Corden's not been in it, it's a bit stale. I do think that you've got to mention Jelly Soccer Saturday, or if it's still even called that. Now, I do think it's still probably one of the best in terms of banter and that, and it's getting more diverse, which is good to see as well. So I think
Can't call it Jeff and the Boys anymore.
you can't call it Jeff and the Boys. It's Jeff and the gang. But I do think it's still up there, and Chris Kamara's getting a bit past it. Was putting his glasses on and trying to figure out who scored him. But it's nice to see them bringing a new young crop through. Clinton Morrison's a decent pundit, which I never thought I'd ever say.
Aye.
Better pundit than any other striker.
Paul Merson?
I'm not going there.
Still not convinced. Still not convinced.
James, what about you?
I am going to go for something totally left field because I'm going to say Ted Lasso.
I've still not seen that yet. I need to start watching that.
It's very funny, but also the character development in it is pretty strong. It's quite hard-hitting for a comedy, but it's very funny. And this week's episode, without giving too many spoilers away, Mike Dean was in it. And somebody accused Mike Dean of not having a penis.
I'm pretty sure that was all of St James's Park, or sports.
Wembley, the game at Wembley. And then, the manager, who obviously comes in from the US, says, "This is where Freddie Mercury played for Live Aid," and somebody then goes, What was it? That was the old Wembley.
Different Wembley.
So then Wikipedia was updated saying Wembley, not the one that Freddie Mercury played at. So
Awesome. I want to add a couple of more shows in. One is, I'm hoping ones that you've heard of before. It's called Big Break. Big Break was a great show. Big Break was a snooker related show. It had John Virgo in it, and they had
James,
it was a quiz.
Martin's old.
Hey, Jim Davidson and fucking John Virgo, and it used to. Jim Davidson. How can you not know who Jim Davidson is?
I've met Jim Davidson.
Was he the really
he knows.
comedian?
He knows.
Is he the really un-PC comedian?
Yes.
Yes.
Gosh,
Yes.
Okay, I know he is.
He's in,
Big Brother.
he's in Cinderella. So he used to, and Johnny Virgo used to do trick shots, and obviously they do it as if he had done it first time every time, and then Jim did, look at that, he did it first time, and obviously he'd never done it for the amount of times that he tried to do it. The other one I want a quick mention for is Top Gear, which I would say is a sports related one. But it was only good when Jeremy Clarkson, Hammond, and May was in it. I've
Michael
still
Schumacher.
to watch. I'm not allowed to make jokes about Michael Schumacher
He
anymore.
was the Stig. He was the Stig.
He wasn't the Stig.
He was the Stig.
He was the Stig in one show. He wasn't the Stig all the time.
He was revealed as a Stig, so that's gospel.
Fair enough. And I will not make any comments about Michael Schumacher. I'll try my best not to.
What
Don't do a Shahan.
I want to mention is Soccer AM about 10 years ago.
Oh, soccer with Tim Lovejoy and Heather Chamberlain.
Yeah.
It's getting there. It's getting back to it. Jimmy Bullard.
I mean,
is phenomenal.
Jimmy Bullard is pretty good at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's him and Fenners.
Yeah, I think after we've all mentioned all the sports shows that we forgot about, we can redo who we actually wanted to say was the best one, because my best one's definitely Soccer AM.
I'm sticking
And
with
it was
Saturday.
I'm going to stick with Ted Lasso.
I'll
Martin,
go Soccer AM.
You're the only one that's actually going to change their opinion. Look at that. Typical Hibs fan never sticks to their gut.
No, I'll just stick with the one that I think's best. Some of the Soccer AM stuff is brilliant. I do like the new stuff with Jimmy Bullard as well, that he does the trials and he's trying to hit the top bins, and some of the ones where he goes to the teams and tries to do it with the strikers, and you get a wee bit of personality of the coaches and the.
Not done that
the
since
ones
COVID,
that want to do.
unfortunately. But yeah,
Aye.
is it you know the drill? Is what it's called.
You know the drill. Yeah.
Good. Especially because it shows you how like Bullard can still fucking play.
Oh,
He could still do a job in the lower leagues.
I mean, James, can you remember when Bullard was talked very, very highly about going to Celtic? That'd have been a great signing.
Wouldn't have got Brown out the team.
The Bulldog versus the Brunei.
Gutted a little bit, James. Gutted a little bit.
No, I'm not.
I'd have took him. He was a great player.
It was the celebration on the pitch when he scored.
Oh, the Hull.
I'm pretty sure he was linked with us when our midfield was Wanyama, Brown, and Ledley. That's a pretty solid mid three.
Yeah.
Apart from Brown.
I think at that point, I think the problem was you were never going to keep Wanyama for a long term. He was always going to move on and do something better, which he did. And now, where is he playing? I don't even care where he is now. Vancouver.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I actually watched some of his game. I watched some of his game last week.
Before we digress, talk about Celtic more than we need to once again.
Never bet Barcelona elsewhere. You can't get better than that. Peak Barcelona. Didn't do that anywhere else other than Celtic.
Yeah, but Tony Watt did.
And he now plays for fourth place Motherwell, which again is above Celtic, so let's not go there. Anyway, before we digress, let us know your favourite sports-related TV show.
Ted Lasso.
No, I meant
Stop name.
the viewer. I didn't mean you fucking prick. I meant the viewer. See the people out there behind the third wall.
More specific. What? You.
Oh,
What's your favourite? Hi, tell the big man.
Well, I'm now addressing the audience. Thank you for watching. Yes, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube, and yeah, let us know your thoughts on the Edinburgh Derby, and just your thoughts on Scottish football and the competitiveness in the league, and how Celtic are fifth despite having the highest goal difference. Not bitter about it at all. And yeah, the English Premier League. Let us know if you want to be a member of Potter's Army. I'll have
well,
the t-shirts
Chelsea's got the best striker in the Premier League.
Yes.
Also, Ian, Rangers are not the same club.
And cash in the bank would be a better title than Money in the Bank. Just to give my feedback. I'm sure
Ian's going to phone Big Vince up and
I think that's it.
What's our podcast?